The first day this week started early. I went to Bloemendaal for a new house portrait. Bloemendaal lays close to Amsterdam, between the sea and Haarlem. The next day, I came to my studio by train and bicycle. Shortly, I decided to leave my van at home most of the days and cycle to Gouda. From there, I take the train to The Hague, where my studio is. I depart before dawn, and this morning I was so impressed by the light. So I decided to take another train, and I was able to shoot some pictures that morning in Gouda. Gouda is a typical Dutch town. It has a long history, a famous marketplace, and a beautiful town hall. It's going to be quite a busy week, busier than I'm used to. In a few minutes, I have to go for the dentist. I've got an appointment at the dentist, and tomorrow afternoon I've got an interview for my first podcast I'm making. I will tell more about it in other videos. That will take me half a day tomorrow. And the next day, I've got an appointment for the podcast as well. Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Thursday, I've got an appointment with a client. I made 2 house portraits for her. And then it's Friday, almost weekend. So I want to take care that I'm not getting stressed about losing time for making watercolors this week. If I'm able to make 2 watercolors this week, I'm happy. It's very cold here when I arrive in the morning. It's Tuesday now. I think we can say that winter definitely has arrived. We don't use any central heating. We don't have central heating in this building. It's an artist studio building, so we warm it up with the gas heaters. And of course I don't use it at night. So it can freeze here overnight, and yesterday before I left I had to close the water tap, empty the water pipe. I can work until 3:30 today, and then I'm leaving for that interview for my podcast. It's a podcast about what happens when you are creating something, for example art or something else. And I'm really curious to hear other makers speak about their process, the whole process. So the start and the part before the start, where does it come from? What are you doing with your ideas? How do you create something? Do you make a product? What's happening when it's sold and people like it or not? And does it have any influence on the artist, on the maker? And I've been speaking with people about this subject for a year now. I spoke with painters, writers, composers, filmmakers, but gallery owners as well, art collectors. I'm sorry to say it's in Dutch. It's a Dutch podcast, and I will stream it beginning next year. And I learned a lot from this project, because I love to be here, but I'm alone, and I love to be alone, but it's working on my own with my ideas, my thoughts. But as soon as you visit other artists and you hear that they are going through the same process as I do, it's so interesting to hear what they are doing in this process and what they feel, to hear their solutions for their problems, which are almost the same as I have too. So I hope and suppose this can be a podcast which is hopefully interesting for other makers as well. The next day I had a last interview for my podcast. It impressed me a lot. I spoke an artist from Iran who told me about life in his country, about the pressure on his art making and the regime keeping control on artists. Driving back to my studio, I considered myself being a decadent artist. I was born in a small, boring village, and I decided to paint things that I enjoy. That's my story. There was no pressure. There was no resistance. We are all free to do what we love to do in this country. But is it possible to feel what freedom is without knowing what the opposite is?